I was 29 at the time when I became a widow.
29. 2 babies.
2 babies.
How old were they at the time?
They were 7 months and almost 2 years. His family, they started saying that I had something to do with his death. Welcome to the Good Seed Podcast. I'm Allie.
And I'm Rachel.
I'm going to be interviewing Allie, and we're going to learn more about her and her story and kind of what's led us up into this point. So, Allie, just to kind of kick us off and give us some background, we know that you, the last few years have been really tumultuous, might be a nice word to say.
Yep.
What's happened in the last 5 years? Give me a little bit of background. I know you were married. So, How did you guys meet? How long were you together? Talk me through
We actually met back in 2018 when I was working as a waitress.
How old were you?
And I think I was about 26, I believe.
Okay.
And we met while I was working. And after that, things started moving pretty quickly. We got engaged actually about 10 months after we met.
Wow.
So it's pretty quick. Got my firstborn, so I was pregnant on my wedding date. And we got married in 2019. And then fast forward to 2022 when he basically passed away.
Okay. Well, there's a lot in between there.
Yep.
So after you guys got married, so you had a baby shortly after.
We had 2
right?
babies. Yeah. We have 2 babies. Now they're 3 and 4. So a girl and a boy. We had 2 babies. We opened up a company.
What kind of company?
It was a semi-truck company. Pretty decent size. Kind of hectic. Man's world.
Yeah.
I ran the logistics side. He ran the mechanical side. And we started growing pretty rapidly.
It's amazing.
So fast forward to basically when this all happened, 2022, February 2022.
So you guys were together 4 years?
4 or 5 years, more or less, yeah.
Okay.
Passed away in an ATV accident. And that's when it all started. So I was 29 at the time when I became a widow.
29. 2 babies.
2 babies.
How old were they at the time?
They were 7 months and almost 2 years. So my firstborn, his birthday is 2 weeks after his death anniversary, basically. So.
Okay. So can you kind of walk me through that day a little bit? What happened?
So he got an ATV on a Sunday. Fast forward to Wednesday, 3 days after. He's like, hey, babe, I'm going to go mess around a bit in the ATV. I get a call 5 minutes after he leaves the house. And he was like, help. So run out of the house. It was literally right in our construction site. Run out of the house. And I find him laying head first towards the ground with the ATV basically flipped over on top of him. And that's when it all started.
Oh my gosh.
So the thing is basically, I Googled this, okay? So the thing is basically 400 pounds heavy.
The ATV is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I started just freaking out, right?
Yeah.
Screaming all over the place, trying to get the thing off of him. Didn't tickle it. So when I started, and he was still talking to me when I got there, right? So I basically, when I actually noticed it, I think this is where our brain goes to survival mode, that you can't really
for sure.
see it happen. You're not accepting it yet. When I saw him turn from flesh to purple, I was like, okay, crap. I need help. So construction site, no one around, no houses around. 5 p.m. on a hot Wednesday afternoon in Kissimmee, Florida. Traffic is insane. So called 911. They were like, what's your address? I was like, I have no idea. And run out to basically knock on someone's door. And that's when I found 4 guys that were in the construction field. And it took 4 guys to take that off of him. But obviously, it was too late already. He had already passed away.
Girl.
A lot.
That's a lot. So how were you in that moment? What was going through your mind? Do you even remember?
I do and I don't. I think, again, back to our brain and how it works. Like, I forgot a lot about what happened, but to be completely honest, I thought that this can't be real, right? Yeah. Like, it's not happening.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's just not happening, you know? We're going to go to the hospital. It's going to be all good. Like, they'll revive him. So I'm a very analytical person, as you know. And I was looking for someone to tell me the truth so I could start my grieving process, because this is how my brain works, right? So I was asking absolutely everyone there, tell me, is he dead? Is he dead? No one would say, they can't by legal, like, they cannot, right? So policemen, fire people, everyone was there. And they were just like, no, like, he might survive. And they started working on him. I was going insane. By that time, I called my mom because they reminded me that I had my kid in the car, and then my baby was still at home because she was sleeping at home. So I told them, okay, I'll go grab her, bring her back. I'm not leaving him. And I called my mom, and I was like, hey, Mom, they're telling me he's dead. Like, I don't remember this, okay? So I was at a really, like, chilled out tone, like, just calm, my mom tells me. And I told her, hey, like, they're telling me he's dead, but it's all good. We're going to go to the hospital, so you can just come over so you can take care of the kids while I go to the hospital with him.
Just, like, in the most chilled
just in
ever.
The most chilled out
just
voice.
Just like, hey.
Yeah.
You want to meet me for
like, can you just come over? Because I think,
over.
I mean, he had an accident. Like, he'll be fine. And then she told me that whenever I kind of, like, I was cussing out at the policeman. Like, you're liars. He's not dead. I was just, like, seeing red because no one would tell me the truth. And I knew it. I think in my heart I knew it, but my mind, my brain just wouldn't process it. So after that, it all started. Went back to the house. My mom got there, went back. He already had the little plastic, like, sheet, the black, thing covered, and it all then started. So after that, forensics said it's basically a big, like, rock that was on the ground, and that thing flipped over, like, on top of him.
So the rock is what flipped over?
Basically, yeah. He, like, hit the rock, and then it flipped over, and then it went, like, on top of him. And so he was in sand, so each time he, like, breathed air, that they would compress his lungs. So he would, like, deepen more. It was just, so he basically passed away from asphyxia.
Oh, gosh.
That's when it all started.
Okay. So, I mean, just to pause and, like, before we dive in, like, what was your marriage like? Like, what was he like?
I always tell absolutely everyone, I was married to Prince Charming. Like, best father, best husband ever. Obviously, marriages are not perfect and easy, right? But I think that because we were best friends, like, we really lived through that whole honeymoon phase until the day he died.
For like 5 years.
Yeah. Like, it was pretty, I think I always say this whenever I tell my story. It would have been a lot more easier if I would have married, like,
a loser?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But he was just all the things. Like, very, very big shoes to fill out now because he left a big, wide, like, space open. He was a really great guy. Really big heart.
Gosh, it breaks my heart for you, girl. Okay, so you've said a few times, and that's just the beginning. So what happened after that?
So, pretty decent-sized trucking company.
That was decent? Like, what do you mean by that?
Like, that year, I think I did, it was 220-something 1099s. So, it was pretty decent.
Pretty decent size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that happened, like, 2 weeks after he passed away. He was the one taking care of taxes. So, basically split everything up in two, right? And then...
When you say you split everything up into two?
The company? Yeah.
So you took half?
I took care of half of the things, and one of the things that he took care of was, like, taxes, financials, you know.
So you're just trying to, A, deal with
and figure
your emotions and whatever the heck just happened. B, take care of two babies.
Yep.
and C, try to figure out the other 50% of the company
Yeah.
and how to run it.
And how to do everything, all the things. So
how are you holding up at that point in time?
I think my brain went into survival mode, and I had to push grief to the side.
Yeah.
Because I had too much. That couldn't stop. My
Yeah.
company never stopped. He passed away on a Wednesday. Funeral was Sunday. I went back to work Monday. So the company never really stopped. And then all hell broke loose. So a little backstory. Yeah. Just so we understand the context. A little backstory. So his family, his sister, worked for us. And back in December, unfortunately, he found out that she was making like a trucking business. It was basically like our competition. And he was really upset about it. So he basically blocked them, like her and his dad, and they were really close. And obviously he was just like not happy, depressed about that, because he had a really, really close connection, especially with his dad. So after that, he also has 2 previous children from a previous like relationship that he had. And after he passed away, he basically didn't speak to them from December until like on, right? So imagine this people's like, I bet like resentment. Like I feel my heart breaks for them, because could you only imagine having to live with the fact that one of your son, your only brother, like he left the world and didn't speak to you for 2 months prior because of something that you did.
Something dumb.
Something stupid.
Yeah.
Money. Just
Yeah.
after money, right? So
Gosh.
after that, it was, they tried. I believe I had to leave my resentment, and I didn't want to hold on to anything anymore. I don't think that what I went through, the pain, is humanly capable. Like we're not capable of actually ongoing with this like kind of pain and actually live life. So I had to drop it, right?
It's just too much.
It's just too much.
Yeah.
It's just too heavy. And then on top of that, hating people, resenting.
It takes a lot of energy. A lot.
And I was like, no. So I think that I really had good intentions in terms of like repairing our relationships. And unfortunately, their resentment was a little bit more deeper than mine, I guess. So one of the first things that really impacted me into this day, because I can't really wrap my head around it, they started saying that I had something to do with his death.
I'm sorry, what?
Something to do with his death.
What does that even mean?
I have absolutely no idea. So I started getting calls from drivers from the company, because again, they know her, right? His sister. And one guy once told me, and I had a couple of calls, but the one that impacted me the most was that he calls me and he's like, "Hey, Allie, are you getting sued by so-and-so's sister, like your ex-sister-in-law?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Yeah, she told me she's suing you. She told me." So not in the grapevine. She told me.
From the horse's mouth.
She's suing you for the death of her brother. And I was like, well, hot dog.
This is news to me.
I was like, well, I live at the same house. So if I would have gotten served, it would have been there. And I mean, nothing. So that was a complete, obviously, lie. There's even a video of his death. And by the way, I just want to pause right now and tell everyone, this is not the intention. It's not to bash them. It's not to... we actually talk right now, and I'll get to that because we're at a healthy place now. But I just want to let you guys know that even when we go through trials, you really have to channel your empathy, which is what I had to do. Because I had to take a step back and be like, why are these people going down? Like, they wanted me dead. They threw the IRS at me. They basically sold all my clients, telling them this story. And I'm not going to play like I was not an angel, right? Like I was also enraged, and I was like, I didn't do things the right way either. But in terms of like the grieving process, which looks really different to everyone,
Yeah, it does.
one of the first things that they said to me, because I understood spiritually in the funeral, for example, that that wasn't him in that body, right? He had left. So I knew that I had to be strong for my grandma, for my mom, which were all heartbroken. And to this day, they still cry about this. And I've always been very resilient and strong. So on the funeral, I shed 2 tears. And people were like, that's weird. She's not crying. She had to do something with his death.
So, from your perspective, you were too strong.
Yeah, totally.
And they couldn't comprehend your strength.
No.
They didn't know where it was coming from. They're like, this seems unnatural.
Odd. Yeah.
And so then they're just blaming you for killing your own husband.
Yeah. And after this, so construction site, right? You know that there's little like cameras on construction sites.
Yeah.
So you can watch over like the tools and stuff. So them two drove all the way down to Tampa, so a 2-hour drive basically, to get the video footage. There's video footage when he died. And there's video footage when I got there.
So they got this footage.
They got it. They sent it to me. They actually told me. She told me. She was like, I am so sorry for what you went through.
His sister said this?
Yes.
So this was before she accused you.
Before, yeah.
So
Or at least this is what she was telling me, right?
so she already knew that you didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah,
This
and
was
the
truly a false
forensic, right.
accusation. I mean, just through and through.
Yeah, and the forensic report says about the big rock and all the things, right? So fast forward to empathy, which is where I'm going with,
Right.
right? Because I don't want this to be focused on like bad energy or what they did to me, or because this is not about that. Again, we actually have a stable relationship, right? A lot happened in a couple of months. I kind of isolated. I was like, how could people even think something like this? But comes down to empathy. When you actually put yourself in their shoes, they loved him, son, only brother, really close in relationships, and they messed up their relationship. It was on them.
Yeah.
And to live with the guilt, they have to channel that energy somewhere, right?
They had to blame somebody.
They have to.
Yeah.
So easiest
you were the
target,
target.
easiest target,
You were
right?
target.
I don't have to live with that.
Yeah.
Fortunately. Like the last memory I have of him is him telling me, "Hey babe, I'll be right back," and kissing me. Like that was my last memory. Like for them, we bought a house in December and they never stepped foot into the house. They never even knew our house.
It's
Sad.
That's a lot for them to
sad.
bear and to live with.
It was one of his dreams to actually own a house because they're Colombian, so they come from like, hardships.
Right.
It's rough. And I don't know what that's like. But for them to be, accepting the fact that they can't go back in time, that's when I really had to channel my empathy because I was like, they have to live with this.
Yeah.
Like it's okay. It's okay if I'm the target. They'll
Just kind of accepted it.
Yeah, they'll eventually possibly get over it.
So you just kept rising above.
I had to for the kids.
Yeah.
I had to also put on a mask for the kids. Like the first 3 days, I would just literally hit the floor crying and screaming, and my 2-year-old would freak out. He had never seen me cry like that. So I had to stop because I looked at his face one day and I will never forget. And he was so scared he started crying too. And I was like, I cannot let myself go like this. Like this is not acceptable. I'm the only one that they look up to, right?
Yeah.
So I had to. And then that transcended into his family saying, hold on, why did you take 2 hours to call us to tell us he was dead? I was like, my brain hadn't processed it by then. Like I hadn't accepted it.
Yeah.
I
Just in
still-
survival mode.
Yeah, survival mode, 100%.
Yeah.
Like having death that close to your face
Yeah.
takes a sec.
Takes a sec.
So
For sure.
after that, basically lost all type of communication with them. Another family member started also reaching out, telling me that I did the thing, and it was just really, it was not good.
So what kind of impact did this have on you? Like, to be accused by what you used to probably somewhat call family, right? Like,
Right.
to be accused of such horrible accusations. Like how did that impact you? Like, what
I
happened
think-
with you internally?
I think it was a compound of like emotions, obviously, but I think one of the major things, other than depression, isolating, and it wasn't really through them. I believe it was through the whole thing, right? Comes with it. Suicide. Actually planning out. I think the only reason that I stopped with the thought, other than the Lord, like the only reason that I actually stopped with the thought, it was because my 7-month-old didn't walk at the time. And I was like, oh, hold on. It's going to be too much of a burden in my mom's life because my baby doesn't even walk. Let me wait until she walks.
Allie.
So it was
So
that
your
was the plan.
logical brain
Yeah.
was like,
let me think about
Let me
others
think.
still. Yeah.
let me think about how this is going to impact people. So I'm just going to wait to
I'm
do
just going to
this
wait till she walks.
till she walks.
Yeah, like that may be in a couple of months. Like I'll just wait until she walks.
So do you think if she was walking at that time, say she was a year old and not 7
Yep.
months,
I would've
would you still be here today?
No, I don't think so. It's too much of a pain. It's too much.
Was it mainly his death that was too much, or what was it? Just everything?
It was just everything,
too
I
much?
think. I mean, obviously, losing the love of your life, yeah, that'll do it, right? Not only that, but the way it happened. But I think it was a compound effect of everything because it was one thing after the other, like me thinking, I'm not going to have an income to sustain my kids. Like, I'm going to lose the house. Like, I'm going to lose the company. Which, by the way, lost most of my clients and had to rebuild everything, right? Which I did by myself
While grieving.
while grieving.
While being a single
While
mom.
being a single mom.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. Yeah, it was definitely a lot. But I really think that the major thing that I want to take out of like all of this, it's again going back to like the empathy side of things. Because right now, so fast forward to now, we actually have a decent relationship. They reached out. He passed away in 2022. So they reached out last December. They didn't know the kids. They didn't they did spend time with the kids. His dad and sister, mostly. His mom is just another story. She lives here. She's never seen my daughter, even as he was alive, you know. She's just that kind of, I think they had that relationship, which is another subject for another day. But fast forward to now, we have a pretty
decent relationship.
we see each other once every like 2-3 months. I want to believe that they overcame a lot. I think that I was feeling so many bad emotions that I was like, let me just pick and choose. And I started to look at life a little bit differently from that.
How so? Like, how's your life changed now?
So much. I think I prioritize peace through everything because there's absolutely nothing in the world that means more to me than peace. And just really honestly, having empathy for every single human being out there, because you never know what someone's going through, right? You never know what
So
battle
true. Yeah.
they're fighting. So just really having empathy, because I think we lose track of that. And if you can do that in the hardest time of your life, I think that builds your character to so much more.
yeah.
You know, the outlook of, if I could get a tiny, tiny positive thing out of the worst thing that ever happened to me, which was losing the love of my life, like, I can make the best out of anything. Nothing's gonna throw me down now.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest part, the growth
The growth.
that came from it.
So if there's anyone out there like listening to you and your story and like Gosh, let me just say, just from a personal perspective of, I've known Allie for, I guess, 6 or 7 months now. And this is like the epitome of strength. I mean, she is truly the strongest person that I know. Like, I don't take that lightly. And her outlook and positivity is unmatched. And like, this is truly like a mindset masterclass of like, how do you take the absolute worst thing in your life and A, survive it, B, learn from it, and C, make this into shaping you who you're going to be now.
Yeah.
Right? So like, I know the empathy was probably the biggest takeaway for you from this season.
For
Is that
sure.
right?
The resilience, the empathy.
The resilience. So if there's someone out there listening who is going through like the thick of it, and they just maybe lost the love of their life, or maybe just lost a job or heartbreak or whatever, and maybe they're in that really deep, deep place that you were referencing, like where you considered ending it all.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to them? What would be your advice?
I would say go right through it. When you're going through fire, go right through it. Don't stop. Don't overthink. Don't think, why me? Go right freaking through it. The faster you go through it, the faster you'll get out. But if you stop for a sec, gonna get freaking burnt. Just go right through it.
So stop and like,
Don't even think about it.
You know, I'm from Kentucky. We say wallow. I don't know. Is that something y'all say in
No.
this? Like, to wallow. Like, I guess it's like to sit down and still feel like sorry for yourself. Throw a
By the
pity
way, we're
party.
gonna learn a lot about country words here. Just
As well
FYI.
as the Hispanic culture, which I'm learning a ton about. So, your advice is like, don't feel sorry for yourself.
Don't go right through it.
Just
Now every
don't entertain
time
those thoughts.
life throws its battles at me, I'm like, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
Let's go, and what's next?
Yeah.
You know, and you don't stop. You get used to being so freaking resilient, because now I think if that didn't kill me, what will?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Absolutely.
Nothing can hurt you now.
Nothing. It won't.
Yeah.
It won't. I came from that.
Do you feel like it's made you a better, maybe mom?
A
Since you've
better
been through
everything. Yeah, for sure. 100%. I don't think I looked at life how I look at it now, which is death is part of life, and you never know when it's coming.
Yeah.
So making the best out of being the best mom I possibly can to my kids, which does not mean that I'm the perfect mom, and you already know this. But
Pretty dang good.
but honestly, trying to make the most out of time for sure. And that's when
Yeah.
peace comes in as well. But
Just
in
kind
terms
of living in every moment.
yeah. And going again, trials,
Just go straight through.
go straight through them. Don't stop.
Straight through.
Yep.
Was there, I feel like for a lot of people listening, they're going to still probably say like, but how, I just don't understand how she did it. What's the secret? How'd you do it?
The secret is my faith. So I think when we are going through certain things in life that we think it's too much to bear, I chose leaving it out and just handing it over to the Lord, which is what I believe in. And whatever belief anyone believes in, like, that's okay, hand it over, you know?
Yeah.
Like, there's help. There's a higher being, and I believe to whoever, like, whatever that means to whoever, there's a higher being. So rely on your faith, on your spirituality, on your whatever. Lean on that, because it has to be something bigger than you.
Yeah.
When it's that amount of pain, not humanly possible of enduring it. Absolutely not. And that was the thing that did it for me.
Was just believing that, did you believe that there was like a brighter future ahead? Did you believe that something beautiful was going to come from it? Like, what specifically were you believing during this time?
I believe that he was going to take care of it, and I was going to be okay. And look at me now.
I just got chills. So fast forward, just to give a little bit of, I guess, frame of reference. Like, tell me about your life now.
Oh my gosh, life now.
Is it good?
Been good. It's been so good. I was praying the other day and I was like, Lord, please don't take this away from me. I feel so blessed. I feel so good. Financially, very blessed. Emotionally, very blessed. Peace everywhere I look. I think the only thing that stresses me out is whenever my kids have too much energy for me to, like yesterday, like that.
Handle.
Yeah. And that's my biggest stress, like toddlers jumping up and down the freaking walls, and that's about it.
Just like
nothing
normal
else. Normal.
Mom stress.
Single mom stress.
Single mom stress.
That's it. And then I call my nanny, and then it's all good.
Yeah.
So it's not bad.
Yeah.
No resentment, no depression. I do believe that this has been supernatural. I don't believe that my healing has been normal. I've gotten a lot of widows that reach out to me and ask me, how do you do it? How can you talk about this like this? Mm-hmm. And then whoever doesn't know where I'm coming from will say, oh yeah, she killed him. But it's going back to actually believing and leaning on my faith and knowing that everything's going to be okay and that everything happens for a reason. Because now I can actually talk about this.
Yeah.
And
With
inspire.
such grace and poise, if I might add. I mean, gosh, and this is all over the course of, what, 2 years?
2 years. 2 years and 3 months. Yeah, and counting.
Gosh.
I can't complain.
You are incredible. I might be a little bit biased, as you are, my best friend. But, Allie, thank you so much for, I know this cannot be easy for you to talk about. Like, it can't be, right? Like, opening kind of old wounds and things that you probably don't think about on a daily basis or even allow your brain to go there. That can't be easy.
And this is snippet, guys. Like, I'm writing a book.
Yeah.
Like, this is
just
snippet.
a little tip of the iceberg. And there'll be more to come. Like, we'll dive deeper into everything.
Really into it.
Just,
I'm excited.
Just to give you guys some context of, like, who this incredible woman is and where she came from. And so what did inspire you to start this podcast, Allie?
It was really on my heart since about a year ago. And that's when I started. I really didn't want to because I don't like to be vulnerable. And it's one of the things that I've worked with a lot. So I think if I want to inspire people and I want to change people's lives and have an impact, I do have to be vulnerable. Yeah. So, and then you joined along for the freaking ride because if not, I was not going to do it. Not by myself.
Taking the leap together.
Yep. It wasn't happening.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being vulnerable with us today. And you're just incredible. And I love you.
I love you. This has been amazing. I'm excited for
all
the things to come.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some inspiration maybe. And make sure you follow along with us at The Good Seed Media on social media. We'd love to have you there. We'll be posting a whole lot more. But every week we're going to come out with a podcast and just want to help us all, like, grow through what we go through. And that is just our overall mission here at the Good Seed podcast.
Hit that subscribe button.
Talk to you next week.
Be sure to hit that subscribe button and follow along with us on social media at The Good Seed Media. And stay tuned for all the updates and more information.